Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Brajanarandana Jasodanandana Brajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanam Chadi Jamuna Tira Vanam Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Brajanarandana Jasodanandana Brajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanaptani Jamuna Tira Vanaptani Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Madhava Punjabi Hari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivadagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Gaura Premanandi. Good to be back with you all again. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So you two girls know who is Lord Brahma, right? Yeah? And you know the pastime of Lord Brahma stealing the calves and cowherd boys and putting them in a cave? You know that pastime? And after he put them in the cave, what happened? He went back and the same cowherd boys were there having lunch with Krishna, and he was bewildered. So then he went back to look in the cave, and there they were in the cave. And then he went back, and there they were having lunch with Krishna. So what's going on? And then the cowherd boys all of a sudden manifested forms of Vishnu. There were a lot of cowherd boys and that many Vishnu forms and many calves and that many Vishnu forms, and then all of their potencies personified Vedas singing their glorious big concert of glorification, and then so many universes. And then poof, they all disappeared. They were withdrawn by Krishna, and he began offering prayers. That's what we're discussing, prayers by Lord Brahma. And the first of the prayers says several things. I don't understand you, and I don't understand, there's no way I can know the happiness that you're experiencing. And I do know that you've shown me a lot of mercy because A and B. You showed me the answer to my question. Your mystic powers are without limit. And the second is, most mercifully, you're showing me your original form. And finally, I wish to attain you. So now we're all the way up to verse 23, and having said in the first verse, I don't understand you, now he's saying many things that he does understand. You know, the tiny cannot possibly know the unlimited in full, but the tiny can know something of the unlimited according to the disclosure of the unlimited. That much. So Brahma knows the following things. You are the one supreme soul, the primeval supreme personality, the absolute truth. Then he gives some qualities or qualifications. Self-manifested, endless and beginningless. You are eternal and infallible, perfect and complete, without any rival, and free from all material designations. Material designations. The word that's used in the verse is upadi, and in ISKCON we know all about upadis. Sarva upadi panirmuktam tat paratwena nirmalam, etc. It's a definition of bhakti. Bhakti begins by understanding that you're not your upadi, you're not the designation or the superimposition of something upon the soul. That's not who we are. So you're two young girls, but that's not who you are. And I'm the black, white, Chinese, Russian, Indian, American. Those are designations. Muslim, Hindu, Christian, those are designations. It's not who we are. So that's who we aren't. Then who are we? That's so. Krishna is without material designations. There's no upadi that covers Krishna. Note, that's exactly what the Mayavadis say. What is Krishna? He's Brahman covered by an upadi, a material designation. Anyway, Krishna is free from material designations. Your happiness can never be obstructed, nor have you any connection with material contamination. Indeed, you are the indestructible nectar of immortality. So we're going to read two commentaries. The first one is simpler, and the other one's a little more involved. Sanatan Goswami's is very simple. Do you know who is Sanatan Goswami? You know who is Lord Chaitanya? You know who is Lord Chaitanya? So amongst the followers of Lord Chaitanya, most exalted were the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. You probably have a picture of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan on your altar. All the way to the right and the bottom, and the altar, all the way to the right, on the bottom, all the way on your altar. Take a look. You don't have to go there. Well, you can go there if you want to go there. All the way to the right, On the altar. The altar. All the way to the right in the bottom, there's 6 personalities. Those are the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And one of them, Sanatan's in the middle. He's the elder. So you can go back and sit down. So Sanatan Goswami is writing about this verse. Having stated the reality of the Lord, Brahma now explains the nature of the Lord by showing the difference between the Lord and the Jiva. That's what this verse is doing. So the previous verses were describing the reality. It's in the Sanskrit word is Krishna Tattva, truths about Krishna. He's real. And the expansions from him are real, the avatars are real, the Purusha avatars, the Guna avatars, it's real. That's nice to know. Some people think it's not. Some people think there's no God, and Mayavadis think we're all God, and so there's lots of ideas out there. But the Bhagavatam is making it clear. Brahma is making it very clear. Krishna, that small boy, 5-year-old boy, with his left hand holding yogurt rice in his hand, looking at Brahma with unblinking eyes, smiling. He's real. He's not only he's real, he's the supreme reality, and he is different than the jiva. Now there are essential teachings. I've just spent some time reviewing the essential teachings of Madhvacharya, called the Nava Prameyas, and then following him is Baladev Vidyabhusan, who Prameya Ratnavali, and then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, following those same lines, he wrote an essential teaching, maybe of his 100 books, it's in half of them, 50 times, describing the 10 essential teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He gave it a name, Dasa Mula. Mula means root. You know what a muli is? Muli? You know what a muli is? It's like a white radish. Like a carrot is a root also. But there in India, I visit India. But muli is common. Huh? Hindi language too. Okay. So mula, there's 10 essential teachings. So this is one of them. The living entity and the jiva and Krishna or Vishnu or the source are different. The living entity is part and parcel of, qualitatively one with, quantitatively different from. It's easy. Same qualities. The drop of water from the ocean is the same quality as the ocean. A little particle of gold is the same as the quality as the gold mine. A little grain of salt is the same as the quality of salt in your salt shaker, or a big bag of salt, or whatever. The part has the same qualities as the whole, but it's tiny. Sanatan Goswami goes on, although you are one, you are spread in within all jivas as antaryami. What's antaryami? Antaryami is the super soul, the soul within. Antaryami, super soul. He is called the Purusha because he dwells within the body. He is called Purusha because he dwells within the body. You know chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna wants to know about 6 topics, and 2 of those 6 are Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha and Prakriti. So Prakriti is material nature. And the enjoyer of material nature is Purusha. That's super soul. He's under his control. So it's his, and he's the enjoyer of it. That's super soul. But the living entities, they also try to become enjoyers. Though super soul existed previously by his powers, he is the ever young, the Lord full of highest powers. His powers are not illusory. As he's not illusory, his powers can't be illusory. Their powers are real. Question. If he is seen to have a form, how can he be real? And the answer is, he is seen by his self-manifesting mercy. Swayam Jyoti. In other words, we don't manifest our forms just from our own, okay, let's have a form, and poof, we have a form. And Krishna's form is eternal, and it's self-manifesting. He's not requiring anything outside of himself. Let's say it the other way. Something that does require something outside yourself. Let's say the place where we visited yesterday, all the trees in the neighborhood had a green ribbon tied around the tree. So I asked the host, what's that about? And they said that the people in our village, they sent us green ribbons to tie around trees as a gesture out of respect for the people who are taking care of the hospitalized COVID people, the first responders, they call them. So, but that tree that was out in their front yard, it probably was standing in their front yard for a long time, will be standing in their front yard for a much longer time, but after some time the tree's going to be gone. So, although the tree may have a long duration, it's covering, the tree covering is temporary. But Krishna's covering is not temporary, he is self-manifesting, Swayam Jyoti. Moreover, he is without an end, Anantaha, and he is without beginning, Adyaha. Since he has one form, he has one form always, since he is without change. The things in the material world change. The tree started much smaller than it is today, and after some time it's going to be really, really old, and one time it's going to fall over. So there's change. Vikara is called. He is fixed or beyond matter. From Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, the jivas have temporary bodies. Instead of unchanging bodies, they have temporary bodies. The word for unchanging is akshara, and the word for changing is kshara. Kshara sarvani bhutani. The jivas have temporary bodies. The Lord has eternal bliss. And in fact, his form is a concentrated bliss. He is pure. These are qualities described in the verse. Niranjana. He is complete, not dependent on anything. He is devoid of relationship with anything different from himself. Advaya. Advaya means non-dual. That's an interesting way to describe non-dual. Doesn't have a relationship with anything other than himself, because there isn't anything other than himself. Non-dual. He is free of upadis. We spoke about upadis. Upadi means designations. He is always befitting all the jivas without selfish motives. He is endowed with all qualities. He is indestructible or immortal. You know, what's the word for immortal? Amrita. Amrita. Like Chaitanya Charitamrita. Amrita, immortality. Or he bestows deathlessness to his devotees. And then finally, though having a form, the Lord is not like the jiva, who is controlled by others, limited, taking various forms by being born in a womb, being unfixed in form, having limited happiness, being impure, being related with things unlike himself, being subject to coverings or upadis, and being subject to samsara. These are related as causes of each other. So that's the first of the two, and it's simpler than the second of the two. The second of the two is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he's going to go through the exercise, the same list of what are the qualities of. So the previous section, the Lord is real, and his expansions are real. Then his qualities are different than the qualities of a jiva. He's distinct. So there's list of his qualities. And so again, the purpose of listing those qualities is there's a distinction. Intelligence is to make distinctions between one thing and another thing. When they give IQ tests, that's what they're doing. They're testing your ability to distinguish one thing from another thing, because that's what the function of intelligence is. Discriminate. You know, it has a negative connotation, like discrimination against black people, or discrimination against women, or discrimination against something. It has a negative, but it actually means to discern one thing from another thing. That's what IQ tests do. So intelligence, a spiritual intelligence, one part of spiritual intelligence is see the difference between the Krishna and the jiva. Those that are unintelligent, they think the jiva is Krishna, or all jivas are Krishna or something, or there is no Krishna or something. So that's unintelligent. So the scriptures are giving us this proper intelligence. He has these characteristics. He's real, and these are his characteristics different from the jiva. Vishwanath is going to give us not only Brahma says, but reference after reference after reference, the Upanishads say the same thing. That's what his commentary is doing. Brahma prayed. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Brahma prayed, quote, although you do have infinite forms, you are also present in one, transcendental form. By your inconceivable energy, you are the one supreme soul, Eka Atma. And at the same time, you expand yourself as the super soul to enter every living being. He's one, but he's present everywhere. Here, Krishna may protest. Brahma, the super soul has no form. He is not a person. After all, the word person generally refers to a being that has a form. You say that I'm a person. Am I a young person? Because he's a 5-year-old boy. Brahma replies, no, you're the oldest. Again, Krishna protests. I'm the son of Nanda Baba. Nanda Maharaj. I'm the son of Nanda Maharaj. And I'm a young boy, a Braja. Is it not right to say that I am the oldest? Oh, it is not right to say I'm the oldest. Brahma, it is true that you are the son of Nanda, but it is also true that you exist eternally. Satyaha. In all three phases of time, therefore, you are the oldest person, Purushaha. Krishna. Oh, Brahma, the Supreme Person, Purusha, you describe is the creator of time, karma, and everything else. How is it possible that I am He? Brahma, please do not argue. You are self-effulgent. Swayam Jyotihi, self-effulgent. Krishna, am I like the sun, limited within a certain area of space? Brahma, no, you are limitless. Ananta, not restricted by time and space. Your other avatars are also the same. Krishna, the Supreme has many incarnations, so am I just one of them? Brahma, you are the source, Adyaha, of all avatars, the root of all incarnations. Krishna, in the next lifetime of Brahma, will I again incarnate in this form? Brahma, no, you are Nitya, eternal. Although the universe is ancient, real, and almost eternal, at the end of my lifetime it is no longer manifest in the same form, because it will disappear. Therefore, it is called anitya, temporary. On the other hand, you, Krishna, will remain eternally in this form as the son of Nanda. Therefore, your form is eternal and unchanging, because you're the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gopaltapani Upanishad confirms this by saying, Yosau Saurye Tishtati, or Lord Krishna is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead who formerly appeared in the Surya Vamsa as Lord Ram. Gopaltapani Upanishad also states, quote, Lord Krishna, whose form is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss, and who sits under a kalpa vriksha tree in Vrindavan forest, is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. You yourself affirm this in Bhagavad Gita. Brahmano hi pratishtaham, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Krishna objects, but those who have bodies are subject to the 6 transformations and are therefore disintegrating at every moment. How is it possible that I am like that? Brahma, no, you're not like that. You're unchanging. What's the word for unchanging? Akshara. Remember? Kshara and Akshara. Living entities are Kshara, but you're Akshara, unchanging, indestructible. Krishna, those who have bodies are also subject to happiness and distress. Brahma, but you are always full of bliss, distinct from the jiva, with a body. Bodies cause us problems. We like our bodies, but they cause us problems. Ajasra Shuka. Krishna, but as a child I was greedy to drink my mother's breast milk and steal the gopis' butter and yogurt. As a boy I showed anger toward Kaliya and a host of others. In my teenage years I was lusty to enjoy with the gopis, therefore I am impure and contaminated by lust and a host of other vices. Brahma, that is not true. You are spotless, Niranjana. Your so-called lust and other qualities are all pure and spiritual. Krishna, well, still I'm dependent on the gopis and many others because I need them, therefore I'm not perfect and complete. Brahma, you are perfect and complete. Purna, your being controlled by the prema of your devotees does not negate your perfection and completeness. Krishna, is there someone else like me? Brahma, no one else is like you. You are beyond compare, Advayaha. Krishna. Very well then. Because there is no one else like me, I am therefore the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, many people think I am simply a transformation of transcendental knowledge. That's the Mayavadi idea. Brahma, you are not a transformation of transcendental knowledge, mukta upaditaha. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad states, vidya bhayam bhina, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond both knowledge and ignorance. This is so because you are beyond all limiting designations. And the final, in the Shruti Shastras, doesn't say which one, it is said, Amritam Shashvatam Brahma. Amritam we know. What's that? Eternal. Eternal. And Shashvatam. Permanent. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternal. He is far beyond any limiting designations, unquote. In this passage, the word Amrita may also be interpreted to mean he who never dies. That's it. So I got confused. Tomorrow morning, that's where Jiva Goswami is going to give like a really long list of Upanishadic references for each of these qualities. But it's so... Just a little sharing about the importance that Prabhupada gave to defeating Mayavad philosophy. In the earliest days, Prabhupada speaking at 26 2nd Avenue in 1966, he spoke about Mayavadis and we didn't know what that was. It was like, an extraterrestrial, a Martian or something. Like, what's a Mayavadi? Never saw one. What does one look like? Something like that. But we came to know that he wrote his own prana mantra, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachya Satarine. How much emphasis did Prabhupada place on defeating Mayavad philosophy in the Western Deshatarine? Because that was where his mission was, in the West. But it wasn't just, in Sringeri Math in South India. It's all over the world. Pervasive impersonalism. So he was very strong on it. And you might be surprised to hear, but he was translating, he interrupted the translation of the Bhagavatam. As much as he was dedicated to translating the Bhagavatam, he spent some time translating teachings of Lord Chaitanya. What teachings of Lord Chaitanya is there's 5 sections in Chaitanya Charitamrita where there's teachings, or shiksha. Lord Chaitanya teaching Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Lord Chaitanya teaching Prakashananda Saraswati. Lord Chaitanya teaching Sanatan Goswami. Lord Chaitanya teaching Rupa Goswami. And Lord Chaitanya's discussions with Ramananda Roy. And those 5 make up the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It's just extracted in a summary form. He published it. Then, while he's going on with the Srimad Bhagavatam, he started translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when he got to Adi Lila chapter 7, it's about Mayavad. It's Lord Chaitanya's talks with Prakashananda Saraswati. He had that one chapter published in a hardcover book and in a softcover book. He wanted the devotees to understand Lord Chaitanya's teachings in opposition to Mayavad philosophy. He wanted us to understand it. It was important to him. And it's right in this, it's woven into Brahma's prayers and the commentaries explaining his prayers. He's defeating Mayavad philosophy, Brahma. Now, Shankaracharya didn't exist when Krishna was on the planet, but it's not that proponents of Nirvishesh Vad didn't exist. They existed. Shankara promoted it and popularized it, but it existed before. It's a doctrine, a Vada. And he just put it together in a nice package and popularized it, within our more recent time than before, when it was already existing. So our acharyas, these are followers of Lord Chaitanya, they also wanted us to very clearly understand the distinction between an impersonal conception and a personal conception. The impersonal conception, at best, you'll see the power of the intellect, the power of pursuing knowledge through Gyan, cultivation of knowledge of the Vedas. At best, it can take one to Brahman realization. Prior to Brahman realization, it's notional Brahman, an idea based upon negation of this. Brahman is not this, not iti, or neti process. By studying the Vedas, and particularly popular for scholars to study is the Upanishads, and they reach the conclusion all there is Brahman, and that's the highest truth, and that's as far as they can get. And the bhakti process takes one beyond the Brahman realization to the Bhagavan realization. And to understand the teachings of bhakti, one has to have bhakti. One has to have association of bhaktas. That is, somebody who's carrying bhakti. It's because it's through the agency of bhakti that one can understand beyond Brahman, or beyond the temporary, for that matter. Because beyond the temporary is Brahman, and the more complete picture of Brahman is Bhagavan. So Brahma has that in his prayers earlier. He's rejecting the process of Gyan. He has knowledge. Boy, does he have knowledge. He has more knowledge than anybody else. He's the original receiver of all the Vedas, which is knowledge. And he recognizes the limit of the path of knowledge to understand Krishna. So it's within his prayers. And we're getting it in this path of knowledge, in the path of bhakti. One can clearly understand that which the Brahman realized soul cannot understand. The Brahman realized soul cannot understand the distinction between the living entity and the Supreme. Can't. Because Brahman means oneness. And if there's oneness, you can't have two-ness. or plurality. You can't have it. So it's got to be something else, and then you come up with something else that's not plurality or distinction. Therefore, Madhva made very, very strong Dvaitavad, distinction. And the main distinction, the first is Hari and the Jiva. They're distinct entities. So that's here, right in the Bhagavatam, in this verse that we just covered. Okay, so let's see if there's some... So trying to make philosophy a little bit lighter, but it's philosophy. It's how to view Krishna. Krishna Tattva. Any discussion? Do we have a microphone? Anyone? You always have something.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Very well.
I was trying to understand about this word in the shloka, Ajasra Sukhaha, in the same.
Yes.
That means the infallible souls who are in the spiritual world are also having the same quality, right, Maharaj?
What has the same quality?
Ajasra Sukha, in the meaning it is said, whose happiness cannot be obstructed.
Yeah, I got that part. Well, what was the other part?
No, should we understand that devotees in the spiritual world who are infallible also has the same
Yeah, but
intent?
yes. When one is connected with that infallible source of happiness, one has infallible happiness. Infallible.
Okay, so why I
In
was
connection with, on the strength of. You know, a spark that's within a fire is hot and gives light.
just to follow up on that, the living entities who are in the spiritual world sometimes they fall down, like us. In a sense, they are not happy. That's the reason they want to find out a happiness separate from Krishna. So they are marginal potency. Is that not correct understanding, Maharaj?
You're correct. It's not a correct understanding.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
There's not unhappiness. You're correct. There's not unhappiness. Yeah. Go ahead.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
like how do we chant every day?
How do we chant every day?
How? Sit with mom and dad and you chant every day because they chant every day.
Well, I always chant when I always wake up at Mangalarti. Like how do we do it always?
She is basically chanting whenever she gets on Mangalarati, Maharaj, but not other days. So she's trying to ask, how can I get that mood to chant every day? When she do not
Well,
get
my answer was chant with mom and dad, but through association, you can develop qualities that you like. And your association with people who have those good qualities, you'll develop those good qualities. It's already within you, according to Lord Chaitanya. Attraction for Krishna, love for Krishna is already within even a spider. You've seen spiders before, right? When you look at a spider, you probably don't think, hey, there's a living entity that's got love for Krishna inside. But according to Lord Chaitanya, the spider, the soul, has love for Krishna. Every soul. So do you. It's already there. And through association, that love for Krishna can come out. Just like, there's a wooden table. It's a wooden table, right? It's a wooden table. So inside the wooden table, there's fire. It doesn't feel hot. You touch the table, it's not hot. But there's fire stored inside the wood. How do you know? You bring fire next to the wood, and the fire that's in the wood comes out. By association with fire. The fire that's in the wood comes out. So by association with those who are carrying bhakti, your bhakti comes out because it's already there. That's how. And best if you practice while you're young, because when you get old, you might not have mom and dad and other devotees around. And then what are you going to do for association? But you have association every day now. So take advantage, and in that association, the attraction for chanting will come. In the association of those who have attraction for chanting. It's natural. It's already there. It'll come out. So chant with them, and it'll come out.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So Brahma received the knowledge first directly from Krishna, right?
Correct.
How come he couldn't identify Krishna, and how come he's testing Krishna?
Well, he didn't identify Krishna in full. He certainly knew Krishna was Krishna. But the fullness, we mentioned at the very beginning, that which is tiny doesn't have the capacity to understand the unlimited unlimitedly. The tiny can understand the unlimited to a limited degree, but the fullness of the unlimited can't be known.
Okay.
But one can, to the degree there's disclosure, one can know. And disclosure is there for one who's qualified. Yeah?
So he's the maintainer of this world. Then
He's the creator, not the maintainer.
Oh, sorry.
Vishnu is the maintainer.
Okay, yeah. Creator then is a very high qualified
Very
soul.
qualified, yes.
Then he doesn't know the.
He doesn't know the fullness of the unlimited
Okay.
because he's limited.
Oh. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have a question. Like the Brahman realization and Paramatma realization, they also meditate upon, and is it whatever that I'm asking, is it the right thinking, Maharaj, that they don't have, because they are also doing bhakti and they are
Who's they?
Brahman and Paramatma realization.
People who are pursuing Brahman realization
Yeah.
and people who are pursuing Paramatma realization, are they doing bhakti also? That's your question?
Yes.
No, they're not doing bhakti. They're doing speculation, or they're doing dhyan or meditation. Now, it's possible that one can move from speculation or meditation to bhakti through association with a bhakta. Let's do this. In Satya Yuga, the primary means of achieving perfection is what? Meditation, right?
Yes.
Dhruva did meditation. Lord Kardama Muni in Satya Yuga, he did meditation, but it was with bhakti.
Okay.
So the meditation alone, it can be done without bhakti, or it can be done with bhakti. The Mayavadis, they also do meditation. There's no bhakti. They do meditation.
Okay.
They meditate at Om.
But Om is also.
It's a
Okay.
sound vibration, but there's the question now is with or without bhakti.
Okay.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Devotees can chant Om too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Tat Sat. When devotees can chant Om too, but it's not disconnected. It's connected.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. The same question which Radhika asked about the japa.
Japa.
How we understand we are progressing when we are doing a daily japa, 16 rounds. How can we treat we are progressing to the next level? So how can we understand?
Put your hand in your bead bag. and see where your mind goes. And so the advancing stages is the mind becomes attracted, and then the mind becomes attached. So ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema. So that's the really advanced stages, and there's below the really advanced stages, and that's where the mind, the wandering of the mind subsides, and the mood of service to the name takes its place. Instead of serving the senses, one serves the name. And the mood, that you can experience what mood is. When you begin chanting, there's a feeling that I'm connecting with Krishna. I mean, I just thinking of a 9-year-old girl that was sharing with me. Then her mom was bragging. She gets up really early in the morning before the whole family gets up, and she chants because she really likes chanting. And she doesn't want to even, think about doing her homework because it's now COVID time, so it's remote. And she doesn't want to, start doing her homework until she does her chanting.
In my case, Maharaj, I mean,
But aside from your own testimony, your question is, how do you know that your chanting is improving qualitatively?
Yeah.
That's responsive.
Okay.
An attraction for it.
Okay. So, other question, Maharaj.
Yeah.
After Krishna avatar completes, do we have any miracles which you can tell us, and a few examples?
A few examples of what?
Miracles.
Miracles.
Yeah. Whether
Miracles of whom?
Krishna. Is there
Miracles of Krishna. So let's start with lifting Govardhan Hill.
After his avatar.
Huh?
After his avatar. I mean, after he completing.
What do you mean after his avatar? What do you mean?
Meaning, I mean.
So after Krishna departure, was there any miracle after that?
Any miracle other than lifting Govardhan Hill? That's what you want to know?
After the departure of Lord Krishna.
After the departure of Krishna.
So were there any miracles? That's his question.
Oh, how about birth of a living entity?
In other bhakti yogas, in other streams, they are showing, okay, God is still alive, God is monitoring, and there are some miracles are happening.
But to answer my suggestion, is the birth of a living entity a miracle or not a miracle? It's an everyday miracle, but it's a miracle. And how does it happen? By the miracle giver, by Paramatma, who is overseeing the Prakriti, and he does things. So someone can, no, come on, something extraordinary. That's extraordinary. So, I not so long ago, a Christian family had a son who remembered who he was in his previous life. During World War II, he was an airplane pilot. And their son knew in detail about airplanes and this kind of, F-15s and this kind of aircraft carrier and Japanese planes and this and that and the other thing and the other thing and the other thing. He was just a little kid. And then he was remembering his name. And they were like, they don't believe in reincarnation. So they were puzzled. And and they found out the name of the person who their son was in his previous life, how he died. Because their son was describing, not like in fear, but he was describing how he died. And It was the dark of night, and he was trying to make a landing on the aircraft carrier, and he missed, and he died. He rammed into the aircraft carrier, and the plane burst in flames. And he remembered the whole thing from his previous life. And he was a hero because he was, etc., etc., because of the kind of person he was during his life. But they were in disbelief, and then they went and found, you got the records and from the military, and and that's their son, was in his past life. So to them, that was a miracle because it worked completely against their own convictions. You either go to the good place or the bad place when you're a Christian at the end of your life. No past life remembrances. That's out of body experiences. You know what that is, OBE. So, that's not a miracle. It's just like extraordinary. It works against the grain of what we think in terms of I am the body. And even you're a Christian, you believe you're the soul, but the soul goes to the good place or the bad place. It doesn't take birth again as your own son. But it does. So that's like, but that's not what people think to be miracles. Prabhupada's saying, well, Swamiji, can you do miracles? He said, look around. See all these American, European boys and girls. They were addicted to all kinds of sinful things. And now they won't touch it. You can bribe them. Go ahead. Offer them money and see if they'll do those sinful things again. No. That's a miracle. Okay?
In South India, there is a Krishna temple, Maharaj. When Shudra is not allowed to inside the temple, so he prays. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, he pray from the back door of the temple and continuously, daily he will go in the morning and pray. So one day, some brahmanas not insisted not to do that even. So later on, Krishna turned into the backside of the temple. So that kind of miracles. That's what actually we in South India it was happened. So in a Krishna temple. So,
Ganesh drinking milk that year that happened. But we don't need those kinds of miracles.
So
to prove.
Yeah, in that not particular to drinking the milk, but such kind of good scenarios where Prabhupada is felt in any moment. Krishna is with me and he's watching and following, something like that. So that kind of stories I'm just looking.
Here's one. This is from Jamuna. You know who she is? The one who's saying Govindam Adipur. When we come in our temples and open the curtain at deity greeting, she's the voice. There's a 2-volume book about her, and she tells the story. She was with Prabhupada in London, and there was some morning walk, and they were walking in tall grass, and she was thinking, oh, this is my opportunity to walk in the footsteps of a pure devotee. So I was walking behind him, then she noticed where she was walking, because it was morning, it was dew, tall grass, everything was squashed down, but Prabhupada, there was no mark where his footsteps were going. So she asked Prabhupada, how come? And he said, so one day you'll understand. And the same thing happened in Australia. But there's so many, there are things like that. But Hare Krishna, we don't need things like that. It's interesting. It's like, wow. But it's the real miracle is transforming covered souls into souls that are radiating, effulgent, Krishna conscious souls. That's a miracle. Anything else? Online, do we have something? Online questions. You're going to take them without your mask on, right? Okay.
This is Sankari Mataji. Guru Maharaj, are the four varnas considered uba uba
Yes.
these?
Yes, they are.
And she continued, the reason I am asking is to understand the reason why, as well as understand how to explain we have different designations even within Vaishnavism.
Of course. You're a woman. That's a designation. So you have a function according to your designation. Your psychophysical nature is awarded to you, and you act according to your psychophysical nature. Although you're spirit soul, you're not the body. Unless you're Shukadev Goswami, and then you can do whatever you want. Go ahead.
And this is from Hari Prabhu, Boston. Sri Shankara also sang Bhaja Govindam song, wrote commentary on Vishnu Sahasranam, set temples of Vishnu in Badrinath, etc. He has also done so much to promote bhakti. Is it fair or accurate to say Sri Shankaracharya was an anti-bhakti or impersonal? I am of the understanding that Sri Shankaracharya was a great Vaishnava in disguise to defeat the Buddhist impersonalism.
Who's writing this?
This one is Hari Prabhu from Boston.
Hari. To answer your question, it would take some time to give a proper answer. Some of what you said is correct, and most of what you said is not correct. He wasn't promoting bhakti. His mission was not, his mission on behalf of the personality of Godhead who sent him was not to promote bhakti. It was to defeat the Voidists, the Shunyavadis, but he defeated them by taking their logic and just changing the language. Covered Voidism. Anyway, it's a long discussion, and even what he did in Badrinath and in the Bhaja Govindam and all of that, what that means, it's a long discussion. But if you like, Hari, you can connect to a really nice seminar given by Hari Parshad Prabhu on Madhva's teachings, and he contrasts Shankara's teachings with Madhva's teachings in very precise language, quoting Sanskrit verses, etc., etc. It's maybe a 7-hour seminar, but it's very, precise. So YouTube, Hari Parshad, the 9 doctrines of Madhvacharya. Hari, you can go check it out, and you'll get, a much clearer answer than what you just expressed in your question here. Okay?
This is Gridhar Prabhu. What characteristics of a service will tell us it is done with purity?
Well, there's different levels. Let's say there's the purity of intention, there's purity of the ingredients, there's purity of action and speech, but the essence of purity arises from bhakti. The essence of purity arises from the only enjoyer is Krishna, and from that the others will naturally become aligned with purity. So the real standard of purity is that Krishna is to be pleased. Exclusively Krishna is to be pleased. And Krishna's exclusively to be pleased means his parts and parcel living entities, particularly his devotees, on the spiritual platform are to be pleased. So there's vidhis, or rules and regulations, that determine purity. It's just like, here's a little example. You saw when we were visiting that after using the microphone, we wipe down the microphone handle and this part you speak into with a disinfecting wipe. So that was a behavior. But, behind the behavior, is pleasing Krishna, is protecting the devotees. And the real purity is pleasing Krishna, protecting the devotees because it's pleasing to Krishna. And when that pleasing Krishna consciousness is there, then the other standards will also be there. Purity of action, purity of speech, purity of thought, purity of intention, purity of objects, keeping your kitchen clean because you're cooking for Krishna. Next.
This is Balakrishna Prabhu. In India, we have a belief that
You have a what?
Belief.
Belief. Okay.
Yeah. If we die in Varanasi, then we don't have rebirth again on this material world. Is that correct belief?
Well, if you're a demon and you die in Varanasi, I don't know if you'll take birth again or not. You may take birth in the lower regions, although you died in Varanasi. Okay.
Maharaj, this is from Radha. How does someone remembers their past life?
Super soul. Super soul is the source of remembrance, or forgetfulness, or knowledge. Super soul. So dial up your super soul channel if you want to know who your previous life was. Radha's 9 years old. How old are you? 5. Go ahead.
And this is again Hari Prabhu. He just commented on the question that other Prabhu mentioned about South India temple. He said Udupi Krishna temple. He just gives the reference. Yeah. Okay.
In Udupi Krishna temple, they wouldn't allow Shudras to enter the temple? In the past. Okay.
This is Amara Mataji. I have a question from yesterday evening that what is the meaning of being attached to Krishna at my sadhana stage, and how does it translates to practical application?
Well, you won't be attached in your sadhana stage, but you can work towards it. And the way to work towards it in the sadhana stage is to associate with those who are attached and to hold in high regard from scripture and other sources those who are attached. That's how you move towards it in the sadhana stage.
And Hari Prabhu acknowledged for the responses on YouTube. Okay. And this is from Padi Sarala. My question is follow up to my previous question. Why Krishna always supports Pandavas? You mentioned that Pandavas are his devotees.
Are which? Fixed? Fixed? His devotees.
Pandavas are his devotees.
His devotees.
Okay. It was also fact that Arjuna is a great devotee of Lord Shiva.
Who is?
Arjuna.
Where is that? What books are you reading?
And she says, could you please provide some insights on this?
Yeah, you're reading wrong books. That's my insight. Move on.
Okay. This is Sankari Mataji. Guru Maharaj, this question is a little off topic and one that I'm trying to phrase correctly. So I apologize if it's a bit muddled. Okay. How do the efforts of Vedic curses act in Kali Yuga?
Vedic curses?
Vedic curses.
Brahmins don't have the power in Kali Yuga to utter Vedic curses like the power that existed in previous ages. So it just doesn't have the same efficacy. There are tantric procedures that just don't have the same efficacy.
She continued, I am thinking of Yudhishthira's curse that woman will never be able to keep a secret.
I thought she would say that. She was really surprised to hear that one. Well, you know, I know some women that can keep secrets.
That answers Maharaj. Our further continuation.
Okay, Hare Krishna. How about you? Can you keep secrets?
And one more question, Maharaj. It's Balakrishna Prabhu again. What is the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna before Subatra marriage?
The same as after Subhadra's marriage. The relationship between Arjuna and Krishna is Bhakta and Sakha, before and after. Eternally. Eternally. Not sometimes. Or he became. He's eternally Arjuna in relation to Krishna. Okay?
Yes, that answers his continuation, like when did they met? It's eternal.
I read something about this. I think the first that they met was at the Draupadi's Swayamvar. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.